construction going on related to that, and then suddenly
This is not the last street, by the way.
Very
It's
dense
just
in wild hogs. Now, somehow we got to get this through our brain.
like that.
Okay,
No.
you don't put the facility in a place that's proximal to the thing that might get infected if you have a lab leak. I mean, that ought to be like rule number one, stamped on everybody's brain. You don't do it. Like the Rocky Mountain labs make a lot of sense. You're going to be working with mastics. You got to put it somewhere obscure, not in Boston, right? So they're doing it. Just run it like it's what I'm talking about.
First 2.0 level. Time the grass. Time the grass. Crazy jumps. Level is so 2.0. Like,
It's true. We have emus on our farm, and they're weird animals. It's like living with dinosaurs. They are weird. My wife says they don't have two brain cells to work together.
Second dumbest are owls, she said.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I thought they were so smart. Give a hoot, don't pollute. They're always wearing a monocle. You know? They're always the wise professor.
Well, that's right. It goes back to atoms, the symbol of learning.
Very weird.
Yeah, so emus are weird. But
So they have to try
the
use
hogs,
drones.
I don't know what they're going to do. What they did to control in Europe. So the former
What is that
Assistant
for?
Director General of the WHO, who I knew was kind of was she had led the development of rabies baits.
there's so many auto parts in
And
this
they
level.
would
It's so
bait,
funny.
With
And this jump, so
rabies
look at this.
vaccine
It's
to
like
try to
6
control
seconds,
the incidence
7
of
seconds of
rabies in
nothingness.
Foxes was the problem. And a lot of the foxes were crossing from the less developed part of the European Union into France, which was not. And so what they did is they developed these baits for the vaccine. And they would distribute them out of helicopters. There's a whole science about how dense the baits had to get immunity against rabies. And fox population.
What?
But it was successful. They controlled fox and wolf population.
Oh my God.
They eradicated food use and they specifically about that.
Do they have a vaccine?
No, they don't. That's what they were trying to develop.
They were supposed to be developing it. Really, what they were developing is more transmissible strain.
Whatever, yeah, in order to prove that they could, I don't know, you know, it's
Same story.
it's
over and
Wuhan
over.
2.0.
Gotta get that.
Exactly. And how
2.0.
are we
2.0.
not going to see
2.0.
this as an increasing trend? And there's the whole
No,
dark side.
don't get that
You know,
coin.
when I read my comics.
I have limits.
Yeah. So you know, you get the blowback. Well, this is all by intention
Alright, just
because
straight-
they're building a market.
No,
For
don't just
whatever it
straight
is,
fly.
they're on a market.
That's
Right?
it.
It's one of the dark
Boundary.
things about COVID was that they wanted to promote the spread of COVID in order to sell the vaccines and blah, blah, blah. You know, so that's the narrative. And so in this case, well, they want to spread African swine fever because somehow they're going to profit from that while destroying the pork industry.
Oh my God.
You know, but
Wow.
this is the armchair strategists on the internet. But that
Has it gotten into the domestic pork market?
interesting question, not to my knowledge yet. But
That's
I
a hard
think it's
timing because it can't be
interesting
too
call.
late either, or else this ship will go down.
She's the
Oh
chair
my
of the
God.
board and has given the pharmaceutical industry one of the and of course the and Brett's a physical professor at MIT, and his core competence is risk analysis and mitigation. And he reads my subject. So we're talking, and he says, yeah, I read that thing that you put out about the virus. He said, I wrote a proposal about risk mitigation and we need to do something because of the disease by which it can enter in domestic pork. So I infer from that that there is a whole body of science about, and he said it's very readily transmitted into commercial goods, which is why the Chinese have already dropped
Is there a way to do this?
into China.
Oh my God, if that actually
And
happened,
what we're talking about, so I wrote an essay about low risk, high impact events,
is there a way?
which is what we're talking about. Another example of a low risk, high impact event.
No, I don't think there's another way. Just have to time that shit. See, if it's too late, it's like that, bro. It's such a crazy timing.
And it's another one that is a CRISPR but there is a whole school of thought that gene drive should never be run out of toxins in life because there are those that are actively promoting its use and to eliminate that and the offer worms, flies, stuff. And yet, and we can do
What did it say
experiments
here?
where we
There's a
say,
text.
we'll cultivate this kind of fly,
wait, hold
that kind of fly, and only these flies are going to have gene driving for whether or not it's going to
Almost.
then we can conclude that it's unlikely. But as
Check
representative
where exactly are they?
really good questions. And the risk environment now, I think, grown-ups coming out of the figures. We can talk about these egregious things. We don't experience. Big picture. This thing came unconvincing. I believe the most likely hypothesis is not that it was intentionally responsible, but that it was
Just listen to the music, okay? Just
an infection of a lab or something. Let it get out. That's what happens again. These low probability events can have extremely high impacts, as we've seen in global impacts. And we have to rethink how we're.
What a crazy timing! This level is like very few clicks, but it's like this.
That
Like
logic runs up against the belief that what hasn't happened so far, and I'm an expert, and I have the right to play around in this sandbox that I helped develop. I know more than you do. How can you tell me that I shouldn't be doing it? You don't have the right to tell me. I'm the expert in this space. And to come into that environment and say, look guys, you're playing around with stuff that could have very high impact, even though it hasn't happened yet. And you've got to rethink what is acceptable. And I think that we were talking a little bit about the State Department and weapons control. We're now in an environment.
let's time it in a use context clue.
Growth of the power of biotechnology.
Let's use
it's going exponential, just like what we saw in
right. So when my ball, no. When my ball, okay.
our bioethics, our regulatory structures, our way of thinking about those risks is really undertaken to keep up with the pace of the advance. And that is creating a whole new threat scene, not to scare people. I mean, I as I was thinking about coming on here, I was saying to myself, okay, Robert, just take a deep breath. It's only Joe Rogan. He's human. And he wants to positive. Don't want to go dark and just scare people. But we've got to take.
And then.
We've got to recognize that.
See, it's like.
This is.
The middle of this ball, and then a little bit. It's actually.
This digital tech. What it means.
But it's like the middle of my ball.
Manipulation.
It's not even. Look at that.
Basically programming, customized programming.
What the?
To advertise all of this power, but we also have in parallel this real rapid devices involved learning. Imagine the future of consumers. And all of that means that we can hardly even process. One of the big thrust vectors in Silicon Valley these wealthy, privileged people don't want to pay their own bills. So they're really talking about we're going to run an essay about this. So they already have a land. We have drones and
Okay.
We're good. And these people see it as free. This is more women's rights. We don't need to have the organic process here in the business, and that's a good thing. Completely disregarding that there's a whole lot of subcomplexity interactions that occur between other fields. All gives rise to.
Right, who knows what kind? Humans.
Why am I having that checkpoint?
The entire 9 months where they develop that.
But that
The exchange of hormones.
But
No.
for the sake of convenience, we want to do that. Okay? And zoom in on that. That has all kinds of implications. It has implications for organ transplantation. My friend Jan Kelly, I don't know if you know Jan, you've heard me had him on. I thought this interesting character. He was working for this newspaper that they were defending all the
No.
I think is like the only print newspaper
Look at that.
left in the
Why
United
sometimes-
States of reading that ascribes to classical journalism. But he's just come out with about organ harvesting in China and organ harvesting on demand, documenting that they are using live principles and keeping them in compounds and testing them for their genetic background and characteristics, and then harvesting them when necessary to provide organs for transplantation, like for the Westerners, because it is enormously profitable, and also to leaders in the CCP. This is what all this brouhaha was about the open mic event with Putin, about we can use transplantation to let us live another 100 years. Remember that big clip? So, in a world in which we can have artificial provide insurance. We are right at the doorstep.
Demonic. It sounds demonic. I mean, it is a
This circular thing is around me is making me.
The concept of the soul. If that's a real thing, who knows what you're doing, creating human. Who knows what kind of processes are happening? We know that stress on the mother imparts all sorts of unwanted characteristics in children. We know that. We know, like,
All kinds of interactions.
Yes.
The playing of music.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
This
Soothing, playing, music. Yeah.
So that's happening. That vector is proceeding.
See where the
And once you have that in a world of CRISPR, okay, you can do genetic modification of a very small number of cells and then grow a fetus. Okay, so that opens the door to. Did you watch the movie Gattaca?
Yeah.
Gattaca, absolutely recommend it. If you want to understand our brain.
Wait, is that the coin there?
Really coming
Inside
at
the
us
sun.
and ethical conundrums associated with that. Watch Gattaca.
Alright, I'll get that one, I guess.
No, great. And totally underappreciated.
And terrible.
Yeah,
That's really what
and the title Gattaga refers to it.
What is that coin for? I mean, what is that key for, bro?
So, watch the movie. You've already seen it. You get it. Okay? We are moving to that space.
What is that key for?
Now it's being, what's driving it? Convenience. Who doesn't want to have a child that's better than it's like you, but better, stronger, bigger, smarter, better vision. Get rid of all the problems that I've got, right? Or you've got, or whomever, and in your next offspring. And all you got to do, because here's another.
Also, what is this? Such a thirst trap. Look at that.
Whole genome sequencing is now about 300.
What a thirst trap.
Whole genome
Stop
sequencing
making thirst traps on YouTube.
For selective engineering with Cas9 CRISPR systems. So we're right on the threshold of that entire spectrum of capability to manipulate animals.
Is it not working?
Life fundamentals of every species and humans.
Oh no.
And concurrently, we have the incoming vector of robotics technology and modern computational advance. We're moving rapidly.
And
Next month, we're going to have general
That's so
artificial
okay.
intelligence as well. It's the same thing. What do you got here? Yeah. I don't know. Made this up. Oh, this is so funny. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah,
They try to get
doesn't
that.
this look like it's something straight out of the Matrix?
Oh my, obviously it's not real, but oh my god, this is terrible.
This is a business one.
What kind of psychology does this child have with no exposure to its mother?
Yeah, that's the coin there.
Hey, but
For the 9
for
months.
mom, it's a lot more convenient, and she can get the perfect baby that she wants. What's not to like
So it
here,
becomes
Joe?
a fucking cereal.
You put it on SSRIs.
Well, this is the thing about, do you know the story about Ted Kaczynski? One of the stories?
Tell me,
The
teach
things
me.
that happened to him? In the Netflix documentary, he was very sick when he was 4. and they kept him in this nursery with no contact for a long time. No one picked him up and cried. He just sat in his crib with no contact with his mother, nothing. And from then on, I mean, his brother always described him as just like off. Yeah, just off. Yeah. But he never had that
Early stage neural development is amazing and profound. By the way, this goes back to vaccines. When you're doing all these jabs on the kids on the birth rates, they are at a stage where this is just going crazy. So the liver and everything else,
and you're injecting toxic chemicals.
which you really haven't characterized well. I mean, you're stacking, and no one's done studies. So this is another thing that the Secretary is adamant about, and the President has led.
Having them exempt from ramifications.
Okay, I see the lump icon.
It gave them this free license. Yeah, free license.
So crazy.
Just go crazy. And
Where?
jack up the vaccines.
About this,
As
like-
high as they could justify. And then along with it,
There's gotta be
queue.
queues.
That's what's fucking
Oh,
scary.
so
The third spike, basically.
it's even worse. Once functional, because of how difficult it is to prove and then to get a vaccine license. Once you get it licensed, you basically have a cash cow. And if you get it down on the pediatric schedule, you manage to jam it through the ACIP. Because the ACIP wisdom is best in what you authorizing the vaccines for 45 positions. So there's no other program in the entire United States that is outside of congressional oversight. The ACIP can decide that this vaccine needs to be purchased or vaccine needs to be purchased. And historically, because the ACIP is captured by the CDC itself and by IBM, those decisions, they never go backwards. And so you get the product down onto the VFC, the
That is so crazy.
and the pediatric schedule, and then that triggers the indemnification clause that you're talking about, which, by the way, is different from the one that kicked in with the COVID situation, with PrEP Act. That's even worse.
No.
But what you end up with is a situation where, as the vaccine you now have no legal limit. You have guaranteed purchase, distribution, and marketing, because the CDC does all the propaganda. Vaccines are safe and effective, you must take this, right? And then you end up with, and it's in many cases schools, it's not even state level. The states have the right to regulate the practice of medicine. That means the CDC can advise that this is the vaccine schedule. And many states, because they don't have the infrastructure to actually process what's going on, they say, well, if the CDC advises it, then we're going to mandate it. Okay? Or school
Holy
districts.
shit, that
And
shit.
so you end up in this situation where you as the manufacturer get the product on the market, you get it down into the special program, you got guaranteed purchase, guaranteed profit, full indemnification, marketing, purchase, distribution, all paid for by and the market. It's
That's so
This
bullshit.
is what's not like. It's so scary when people just go.
Oh my god, this timing is actually
they
bullshit.
don't just go along with it, they are propagandized into believing it as
And
a,
promoting it
as a
because of
theology.
They've administered to exactly. I was going to say it's religious dogma. They've administered it to their children. They believe in it wholeheartedly. And when someone
my
says
God.
something like vaccines don't cause autism, the whole audience will fall. And you're like, how do you know? How do you know that? Well, you're so confident that you're applauding.
Well, it's because what I've heard. I've heard it so many times. Of
Oh.
course I believe it.
That's what's twisted.
It's just,
about it.
it's just, well, that it illustrates the power. You know, and once you get it, I think through vaccines, you,
That is such a jump.
You're-
Wow.
because once you get it, by vaccines, then you see it happen.
Well, I had Susanna Hunters with dissolving. That book is a must read. Everybody wants to really understand the history of vaccines. And what really happened in terms of the end of pandemics and the introduction of the vaccines? Like, what actually took place?
Yes. Oh, that, and
There's this
there's the whole
narrative.
thread of how prevalent lead was in the population, in powdered wigs, so many things that we had. And then when they got rid of the lead, that was concurrent with the onset of widespread vaccination, and so the loss of life associated, or the improvement in loss of life and birth outcomes associated with getting the lead out of the population, well, that's ascribed to the vaccines by the people that are busy marketing vaccines.
Right.
And likewise,
TDT.
all the work associated with water sanitation and all of that. No, that's all true. The first time I, to credit where credit's due, as a vaccinologist, first time I really encountered that logic was Candace Owens had me on years ago. And she said, we've done this deep dive and we've looked at this thing, and these infectious diseases go down before the vaccines come up. And yet we're told this narrative.
Right.
Of course we're told this narrative.
Yeah. The polio one's the nutty one. Because when people are so concerned about polio vaccines, cure polio, they're going to bring back polio if they stop the vaccine. When I tell them, what percentage of polio do you think is asymptomatic? And most people think, right? It's 99%.
That's just random.
Asymptomatic. And then you find out through Suzanne Humphrey's work that they were spraying TDT ubiquitously all over the country at the same time.
Absolutely.
And
Silent
it gives
spray.
you the same exact symptoms of paralytic polio. And then subsequently, the actual first infections that started occurring in this country were occurring in rural areas where they spray DDT everywhere.
Yeah, so there's,
I almost forgot.
if I can kind of throw another log in the fire.
Yeah.
One of the cool things that I'm getting to see from my polling is people working on cutting edge of modern genetic technology investigations about possible. And one of the things we talk about these rare incidents or
Oh my god, see, wow, like that is cool. That's pretty cool.
First, and now they were forced to admit them. Stay tuned. In February, but there's a group that had a big growth to look at genetic things associated with risk factors. Strangely, halfway through the Biden administration, but we still really have progress. I mentioned that genomics. These guys have gone through and they've identified some genes that are considered high risk factors in myocarditis vaccination. Myocarditis after vaccination, by the way, is it's been associated with vaccines for quite a few years. One of the
That is such a crazy jump.
One of the things that's coming out is that if we do the research that Tim Kennedy is committed to do, we may well be able to detect those people that genetic characteristics of those people that might have been or myocarditis, so that we can have genetic tests. We can have that test and determine whether you actually have that risk factor. It looks like, because of the dynamics of clinical research and epidemiology and infectious disease, that this kind of application of genetic diagnostics is getting the research into those small populations. Not those big high-risk individuals. But no, getting down into something else. I think that's what dark side. There's some real bright sides.
There we go.
Because the truth is that this doesn't come out during this administration. No, to do long-term follow-up studies would take a decade. That's the important.
30 minutes.
We have a lot of grief around that.
Well,
How come
28.
we haven't already? But it's going to happen, and that is another big plus of what's going on right now. Kind of behind the scenes at HHS. Hopefully, we get a chance to still do it. But
Chris from Delta
I'm
Group?
optimistic that we're
No
these
way.
narratives that we promote, these false narratives, we can give it a break and doing actual science for life.
Okay, that's it for today.
This new technology
Just grind.
is particularly with sequence analysis and identification of risk correlates. The connection between
Wait.
sequence analysis and immunology is going to really open up new understandings about what's going on in human disease. I'm absolutely convinced. What we do about it is that's a whole other question. We can do the science.
Probably need to do this.
Public policy part is wicked hard.
Yeah.
Bucket list
At least
is
there's some-
being clear.
Positive developments.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
and we have to allow ourselves to see it. You see it and you get the reaction like you did. I don't want to see that. It's too much. It's too overwhelming. It's too scary. But we look away at our own risk, and we have a tendency to say it's all good. We have these individuals, I mentioned Paul Ferrari, believing that it's God. We become gods. We become as gods.
Does he actually say that?
Yeah.
Really? But isn't he talking sort of metaphorically about our technological potential?
I don't know.
think
I don't know
he
how
really-
to. I don't know how to discern the meaning
He's a
of.
very demonized guy.
He
online.
says a lot of dark stuff, and I think so. You probably read the book. Did you interview the author of Sapiens? Did you read the author of Dark Aeon?
No, I've never heard that.
So that's talking.
Dark Aeon?
This is talking more about kind of the Silicon Valley culture that's pushing transhumanism and how integrally it's become involved in this space. What I don't pal around with anyone, and not to say he is or whomever you want to talk about in that space. That's not my pay grade. But my understanding, and I read these things, maybe that's also propaganda. That a lot of these people, of let's say the Bill Gates cast and the younger ones associated with that, are advocates for a world in which they are able to upload their avatar consciousness in a digital space and live forever.
That's very charismatic.
Sounds like you know more.
Yeah.
You're the UAP guy here, which by the way is another fascinating domain that I'm learning more about.
It's bizarre. That's a rabbit hole. Oh, this isn't one.
Yeah, this is how I make a thumbnail.
Rabbit hole. Yes, it seems like there's been a lot of black funding and
Business.
yeah,
Bruh.
Business.
a lot of business, defense contractors
Yeah.
involved.
Yeah.
It seems like there's some inventions that sort of emerge out of nowhere that supposedly are connected to
29,000. This
So
looks
we're-
over-decorated
so
as
I'm
fuck.
now,
It's 29,000.
I'm now of the belief
Whoa, look at
there
this.
exists a capability
Yeah, I'll get this one.
that
Holy shit, look at
transcends
this.
physics as
so
we know
cool.
it, let's say Einstein,
Let's go. Let's get this chip.
and is more aligned with Hawking's physics. That we don't comprehend right now. And it has to do with extremely high energy systems. And I've had some of these guys, because I'm now known worldwide as a conspiracy theorist. I've had them on my farm, staying in our guest house and shooting the bull, and me trying to understand their world, what they're seeing and what they've experienced and observed and information. There's a lot of different models for what the hell's going on. Maybe it's all us, right? That's one model. It's all us with
Also, it's God.
yeah. That's one model for the what do they call it, Tic Tacs, and I'm increasingly convinced by the logic that there is a physics beyond the physics that we know. It is the physics of extremely high energy systems. And in high energy systems, a lot of the rules about motion and transportation and matter, and the ability to cross between matter states that is repeatedly observed and reported by responsible people, military folks that have strong disincentives for saying this stuff, and yet still they're saying that's what I saw. Okay, and
Transmedium devices that can fly and then go underwater as fast as they're flying.
And
no ripples.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the models is that this has to do with having some extremely high energy source in a very small package. And is that possible? We're now moving into a new fusion. Right? We're talking about these microfusion reactors that are going to be powering our data centers all over the world, transforming the whole energy, right? And there's this logic in crossing over into the economics, Bitcoin or kind of space. There's this logic that
This is so cool.
it all comes down to energy. Energy is the
okay,
one
this level, this shit
thing
alone, this
that
one is good. This one's
fuels
cool. Very
economic development and everything around us. And I'm not a physicist, but I listen and learn, and